are doing pretty well in here, Kenny, and thank you so much for introducing everyone to our Seal and Sea Lion training presentation. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving, and I do encourage you guys to stick around for the entire show and even afterward, because we are going to be giving our Seals and Sea Lions some Thanksgiving/holiday treats in here as well. We did some earlier, so you can see the remnants of that here in front of me on the beach. Now you have 6 pinnipeds, Seals and Sea Lions here in our exhibit. We have Parker right here in front of me. He is 17 years old, and he's actually the largest animal that we have here at the Aquarium of the Pacific. Parker gets up to about 590 pounds in the wintertime. He can even get as big as 840 pounds in the summertime. And that sort of weight fluctuation is pretty normal for him. You can see exactly how big he is right here. Then over to your right, you might see Chase. He is working with his trainer, Sam. He is the youngest sea lion that we have here at 5 years old. Up on the rock, our smallest and one of our younger sea lions as well is Kane. He is 6. Is a great big weight for you. And last but not least, on the far left-hand side, we do have Harpo, our 13-year-old. He's saying hi as well. Now, in our back pool, we have 2 of our harbor seals. Their names are Troy and Kaya, and you guys might have a chance to see them later on in our training presentation. But first, I want to explain why we're training these animals. We work with these guys for a couple of different reasons, but the most important of those reasons is something called animal husbandry. Husbandry is a fancy term for animal health care, which means that we can actually ask these animals to participate in healthcare type behaviors. Parker here does receive some eye drops every day, and he actually voluntarily receives those eye drops. He can come up on deck like you are seeing his trainer ask him to do, and he can hold still while we put eye drops in either eye, and even stay out of the water for about 2 minutes while we do that, so those eye drops have some time to work. We can also work on desensitizing him to those kinds of things as well. So husbandry, like Kane's demonstrating a beautiful layout there, laying flat on that rock, is a main reason why we train our animals, but we can also train them for physical exercise and mental stimulation. We take care of a lot of these animals' needs here at the aquarium, and so we can actually train them to do exercise-type behaviors throughout the training sessions and make sure that they get plenty of exercise every single day. Now, mental stimulation is just as important. We need to make sure that these animals are thinking and using their very smart brains, and so we can train new behaviors or practice old behaviors during these sessions as well. You can see we can also ask them to go to different contexts, like looking up at that window, and they can still respond to those hand signals just the same no matter where they are in the exhibit. Now that you know why we're training our animals, you might also wonder how we train them. You'll notice that everyone in here is carrying around a big silver bucket full of positive reinforcement for our sea lions, also known as fish, herring, capelin, and squid primarily. So when they do a behavior correctly, they get a big handful of positive reinforcement, and that tells them keep doing that behavior exactly the way you just did that. We can shape new behaviors using what's called a target, and Kenny, I was wondering if you had an example of a target pull out there.
Yes, somewhere. Here it is. I found it. It's right here. I got it.
That's a very complicated device. It is a buoy on the end of a stick, but we actually condition our animals to respond to that by touching their nose and mouth to the end of that buoy on the stick. And so what we can actually do is even have a trainer outside of the exhibit present that target, and one of our sea lions can come over and touch his nose to that target pole.
Is that true? Are you being honest?
I'm pretty sure I'm being honest here.
Oh boy, should we try it?
We should try it, Kenny.
Where's she at? Samantha, come here. Let's do it. Let's give Samantha a round of applause as she comes up here. Give your dad your map first. There you go. Nice. All
right, Samantha. You are going to be training Harpo today, and so all I need you to do is hold that target pole right up to the window. Now, Harpo is actually going to come on over in just a little bit. He's going to touch his nose and mouth to the end of that buoy, like we just discussed our sea lion's doing. So once his trainer is ready, are you ready out there, Samantha? You look ready. Cameron's going to send him on over to touch his nose and mouth to the end of that target pole. Beautiful job, Mr. Harpo. And he waits for his trainer to say the magic word, which is G-O-O-D, or good. And that means come back, we're going to get lots of fish. Now, Samantha, we're going to make it a little bit harder for him. So this time, he's going to race on back over, and you are going to take him for a walk. And so Cameron's going to send him back over in just a little bit. And what you're going to do is actually walk down the window and even around the corner. Looks like actually, hold on one second, Harpo got distracted. We're going to take a little bit of a timeout here, Kenny, so we'll be back on mic in just a little bit.
Sure. While she takes a timeout, let's talk about what a timeout is, right? So when I was, you can take it down, Samantha, just for a second. So when I was growing up, a timeout for me was like 15 to 20 minutes in a corner. Just come hang out with me over here, okay? You can hold on to that for now. Now, when we train animals, timeouts are also just as important, right? These animals during this time period, they got to figure out what's going on. Why aren't you feeding me? Now, typically for them, a timeout lasts between 10 and 45 seconds. It's not very long at all. You just have to make the animal think like, oh, what's going on here? Why aren't you feeding me? And this is a part of what's called operant conditioning. Now, typically here at the aquarium, when we talk about operant conditioning, we talk about positive reinforcement. So they see or they do something that we ask them to do, like they do one of these awesome behaviors like that trainer follow. You know, Sam, she said good. If you're familiar with dog training and you know about clicker training, click, 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 that's the same thing as saying the word good. They have whistles, that's the same thing. It's just one of the ways to tell these animals that you've done an awesome job, come here and eat with me. So they come on over, they get their food, but you know, you gotta reinforce them before they get that food. And so that's where that bridge comes into play. Now sometimes they don't want to participate. Sometimes they're doing behaviors that we don't want them to do, like Harpo, for example. He takes a fish and he flips the fish around in his mouth. It's not something really you should be doing. You shouldn't be playing with your food too much. So whenever they do that, hey, we're just going to take a step out of the exhibit for a while. We're just going to let you think about what's going on. Why aren't you eating? And when we get together, when we come back together, typically they're much more successful than if they had just tried to work on through it. So look, they're back. See, not too fast. No, that was like a minute or so. Not that bad at all. Look. Sam's back. Aaron's back. I'm sorry. I'm looking at Sam, but it's all right. All right. Come back over here,
Samantha. Come on back over to right where you were. We're going to try that one more time now that Harpo's paying attention. So Cameron's going to send him on over. And so Harpo's on his way. And he's going to touch his nose and mouth to that target pole when he finds you. And once he gets to you, you're actually going to be able to take him for a walk. He's very focused. We took that time out so he'd pay attention, and now he's paying all of the attention to his trainer. Hold on 1 second.
We just got to work through this together. You're doing awesome, Samantha. Just stay there.
Just stay right there. You are doing perfect. There you go.
Nice.
We figured it out.
Now you can walk towards me.
Perfect.
And you can walk fast, and you can come around this pillar too. He'll make his way around. Nice.
Beautiful job. Thank you for being patient, Samantha.
Hold it up.
You can hang out right there. And you heard that magic word one more time. How about a big round of applause for Harpo for figuring that one out? That was a great training session. Samantha, you helped us train our sea lion today, and he is going to do even better at that behavior next time. So that's what we're doing here in our exhibit. And now that you know that, I am actually going to hand it back over so you can learn about the 2 species of animals we have in here.
Thank you, Aaron. Let's talk about those 2 differences. Rather, let's talk about the 4 differences on these 2 animals. Now, one of the first things to look for or to listen for is actually the sounds that they make. California, these guys are leaving. California sea lions, they get their name because they've got those deep guttural voices, right? You can hear them from quite a long ways away. Whereas our harbor seals are very different. Harbor seals are much, much, much quieter. In fact, Erin, she'd have to put her microphone up to Troy's mouth. Troy's the other little harbor seal in this exhibit, in order for us to hear him. He makes like grunting and raspberry sounds. Stuff like that. He gets all sloppy, real kind of gross, but hey, that's all right. I love them regardless. They're pretty awesome. Now, another awesome thing that you guys can look for are their flippers. California sea lions, like these guys here hanging out, they've got those real large front flippers. It's how they move around up on deck out on the land so easily. You'll sometimes even see sea lions, like wild ones, hanging out in the ocean, just sticking a flipper up. That's kind of like a solar panel. They're doing what's called thermal regulation. They're trying to get their body temperatures up. But yeah, they've got those real large front flippers. Now, as for our harbor seals, they've got front flippers too, don't get me wrong, but they're real small. In fact, when a harbor seal moves around on land, his front flippers don't touch the floor. Instead, he kind of inchworms along on his tummy. It's called galumphing. That's the literal term for galumphing. Yeah, oh yeah, that's what they call that. Pretty weird, but hey, works for them. Now also check out their colors. California sea lions are this nice, awesome, solid color. If you guys had to say these sea lions were a flavor of ice cream, what kind of ice cream would they be? Sea lion flavored, that's right, but really, they're this chocolate color, right? They're this nice, solid brown color, and that's what to look for, this solid brown color. Our little harbor seals, on the other hand, are that cookies and cream, that spotted, that mottled coloration, very, very different from our our California sea lions here. Was that all of them? Did I get them all?
Yeah, you hit on all those differences.
All right, awesome. I'm glad I did. I forgot it for a second, but hey, we made it through. Now, oh. What's coming out here, Aaron? What's going on?
Well, we are doing a little bit of a holiday treat session for our sea lions, and as you could tell, they were very excited. They knew exactly what was going on, and so you can tell that we were actually dumping out some ice and some fish. Not all of our sea lions are always super interested in this, but Harpo, our 13-year-old, tends to be the most interested in these kinds of things and foraging through ice and stuff like that. But for a second, I just want to touch a little bit on how these animals are doing out in their natural habitat. It's actually really good news right now for both California sea lions and for harbor seals. These species are very well represented and they're not considered endangered or threatened. However, that doesn't mean that human activity in their environment does not impact these animals. And in fact, one of the main things that we do in the ocean, which is fish for seafood, can actually have a pretty detrimental impact on these and other marine animals. So if you want to help these guys out even more and help out other species that maybe aren't doing as well, what you can do is make sure that if you're eating seafood, you're getting it from a sustainable resource, which means that it's harvested in a way that's not taking away too much from these or other marine animals and not damaging their environment around them, thereby basically leaving enough out there for everyone. The aquarium does have a program called Seafood for the Future, and you can check that out on our website. And that's a really great way to make sure that the seafood you do get is sustainably sourced. All of the seafood we feed our animals here is also sustainably sourced. That's how passionate we are about that here at the aquarium. So I think I've touched on how you can help these guys out. Otherwise, I do want you guys to just hang out and watch these guys eat some fish. Troy, our harbor seal, is actually the bravest soul coming on up to check this out right now. We have a little bit of trout, capelin, herring, and squid here in the ice. We may be lucky enough to see Harpo and or Troy come out and investigate this. But for now, Kenny, I was wondering if you might tell us about the vaquita, a very cute porpoise that I am very thankful for this year, but unfortunately is not doing so well.
That's right. So I've got just a picture of a vaquita here. You find vaquita in only one area of the world. They live right between Baja and mainland Mexico in the Sea of Cortez, the northernmost part of the Gulf of California there. Now, because of the fishing practices that occur in the Gulf, like primarily the use of gill nets to catch shrimp that end up coming to us here in the States, or the capture of totuaba to turn into a traditional Chinese medicine, you know, it's unfortunately negatively impacting not only vaquita but many other species that live in the Gulf. Now, vaquita, the plight of the vaquita is one particularly important to us because these animals are going extinct. There are fewer than 10 of them left. It's really hard to get an accurate count of them, but yeah, they're not doing too hot right now, and it's because of the way that seafood is caught in the Gulf. So as Aaron said, one of the best things that you can do for our planet, for our oceans, for yourself, is knowing where your food is coming from and knowing where your seafood is coming from, especially. Getting seafood that is caught as close to home, getting all of your food either homegrown or home caught is a particularly awesome